I'm Victoria Winters, and we're reacting to League of Legends. Ladies and gentlemen and non-binary specimens, Ceremony Master has arrived. Yes, it's me, Victoria Winters, back with another reaction video. You already know what we're reacting to. You saw the title on YouTube. We're going to be reacting to Forged in Fury, the Shyvana Champion update trailer for League of Legends. So Shyvana is a really cool character from Demacia, a dragon lady because, she hasn't been reworked in a long time. So she is well due for a update. And they're finally giving us an update. We got to see her in the latest cinematic where she was awesome. Now we're going to get to see what she actually might be like in the game. And then after that, we're going to watch some Netcrit because Netcrit is awesome. Netcrit knows things. And yeah, we're gonna enjoy watching our PJ'd Hat Man tell us about what we're watching. So I'm not going to yabber on much longer. We're going to go ahead and jump into this reaction because I am excited for this. I've been waiting all season for this rework. I will admit I don't play Shyvana myself. She's just not one of the champions that fits into my normal playstyle. But I might give her a try one day. You never know. I am about trying some new champions. With that being said, let's go into our reaction. Alrighty. Here we go.
Fury. The only thing you gave me, Mother. A fire that destroys.
So, Shyvana is a half-dragon who is created magically from an egg that was stolen from a dragon, where this person basically used, I think, magic to infuse human DNA mixed into this dragon to create a half breed, which is Shyvana. Yeah, she lives in Demacia, and well, Demacia is not exactly what you call friendly to things that aren't normal. I feel bad for her. And her dragon mom hates her.
But courage, purpose.
So what I know of her lore is she ended up meeting, I think it's Jarvan the Fourth, and saved his life, which we saw kind of just now. She saved him, and he ends up offering her a spot on his royal guard. Yeah, now she works for Demacia.
Found those on my own.
I love her design. In the lore, she does end up taking on her mom, which I believe is what we're seeing here. And Jarvan does come out and help. And this is a big fight. Oh, there he is.
Your fire ends in ash. But with my fire, I will forge something new.
Okay, yeah, that was legit. Alrighty, so that was the actual new little teaser for her skin. She looks so gorgeous. I can't wait for the Skin Spotlight because I want to see how this thing looks. I know Skin Spotlight is going to be putting out something real soon. Yeah, God, she's so gorgeous. She's such a gorgeous. I love her tail. I need to make a tail like that for cosplay because, yes. Oh, God, can you imagine doing Shyvana as a cosplay? Oh, God. Getting through doorways would be a bit of a pain in the butt with the wings and the horns and the tail. But damn, you'd look good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump over to see what we missed and what Necrit has to say about what we watched. So let's jump over to the Necrit. Here we go. There he is. Still holding the spatula. Still hasn't gotten a new mic yet.
It has been 4 years. No, I mean, apparently, it's been 4 years since the time that Shyvana won the VGU poll. And finally, she is here. By which I mean, she is not on PBE yet, but she did at least get her own cinematic. But honestly, this is the way. Putting a new
This is the way.
Champion or an updated champion on PBE before they get any kind of a teaser kinda ruins it. You wanna do a proper reveal before you give the champion to people to try them out. And for Shyvana, it is working well, because the initial feedback seems really positive, as well as it also includes a lot of jokes about Jarvan, but we'll get to all of that. For now, just know that this cinematic was not made by Fortiche. It was made by the same studio that did some of the other cinematics for Skinlines and other stuff before, which did also.
I do want Fortiche to come back and do more cinematics. I love Fortiche's art style. They might be kind of busy right now, though, because Riot is contracted with them for 5 seasons total of media. We got 2 seasons of Arcane, so we got like 3 more seasons of stuff they're working on. So with we got the end of Arcane last year, so we might be getting another series maybe next year. I like to think so, but we won't know until they tell us.
To include the infamous Vladimir cinematic for Wild Rift. We still don't know what happened with the sound effects there, but this one is so much better. And so, without further ado, let's have a look at the new cinematic that teases Shyvana called Forged in Fury. So, this cinematic is very interesting because it is very difficult to guess what's really happening. And that because we are always debating about 2 different options. Either this is continuing the previous battle with the Elder Dragon that we saw in the Salvation cinematic, which could be one of the many dragon attacks that happened on Demacia, which we now know about because of the minigame, but it is more likely that this is not the case. It is far more likely that here we are at Renwall, because as you can see we are in the mountains. And if this is indeed Renwall, then that means that this dragon is Yiva, Shyvana's mother.
Who hates Shyvana because she thinks Shyvana is corrupted and dirtied by humanity.
Which begs the question, was the dragon in the previous cinematic Shyvana's mother too? I honestly thought it wasn't, because Quinn was never mentioned in Shyvana's story before. Not to mention that the vast majority of Quinn's stories happen in the north, this is happening in the south. So everything was simply pointing at that dragon being the Elder Dragon, or any other kind of a dragon. Well now, assuming that these 2 dragons are the same, it would mean that the previous dragon would also be Shyvana's mother, which would have to mean that that part of the cinematic happened before Shyvana and Jarvan got together and before they killed her mother. And what makes all of this even more confusing is that, in theory, this cinematic can be happening at Renwall during the time Jarvan and Shyvana are killing Yiva, but it can also be happening at Renwall in the future with a totally different dragon. And as you'll see, this cinematic is...
Yeah, I didn't think about that it could have just been some other random dragon. I like to think this is her mom.
Trying to clear all of it out, but it's still missing some pieces. Though just remember that the main point of this cinematic is to show us the new Shyvana.
Yeah, so Riot is really bad about giving us some really awesome cinematics with 0 context.
And it does do that. Anyway, it all begins with the dragon attacking what we assume is Renwall, after which Shyvana speaks her first line.
Gotta admit, just look at this art right here. She is just gorgeous. Just gorgeous.
Fury. The only thing you gave me, Mother.
Now this is exactly something that is trying to help. You see, it is directly teasing the fact that this dragon is her mother. But we know how previous stories worked before, and so it's also possible that this line is simply referring to the fact that in the past, her mother gave her fury, so it doesn't really clear out who this dragon is. After which Shyvana packs up her things and she leaves the room to fight the dragon. And on her way, she notices this. Now finally, a mystery solved! This is the sigil that we saw on the Demacian Summoner's Rift from the very beginning. It was always there, right next to Cythria's sword, which is why many people thought that this would be teasing Cythria.
Which we still haven't gotten. They've been giving us a lot of teases about Cythria without actually giving us Cythria.
But alas, the Cythria dream is dead, and now we know that this is the Light Shield Dynasty sigil. In other words, it belonged to Jarvan. Huzzah, at least we learned something. Now, obviously, because Shyvana has this sigil, it means this has to be happening after Shyvana and Jarvan got together. Which at first would suggest that this is happening after they fought Yiva, which means this would be a different dragon. I mean, since this is teasing that she got this in the past, then the present fight would have to be something in the future. It's basic timeline. And to support this,
Just look at that segmented tail. Can't tell me that is not awesome.
right after this, we even get a flashback where we can see the scene where she got the sigil. Here we can see Shyvana dragging Jarvan to a Demacian city. Of course, this has to be Renwall because Jarvan is injured and he got injured in their fights with Noxus. After which, according to Shyvana's lore, she got him to Renwall. We then see a scene where the Demacians are afraid of a magical being. That is totally normal, and so Jarvan pushes.
Yeah, because people in Demacia are shitheads. They're shithole. It's a shithole country. I don't like Demacia. I don't care what Garen says. Fuck Demacia.
Them away because Shyvana just saved his life. And knowing that since she is a magical dragon, Shyvana wouldn't be safe anywhere in Demacia, he gave her his own light shield sigil. This kinda acts like a royal seal. As long as she has it, no one can touch her. The issue is that this cinematic doesn't really tell us how far in the past this happened. If you look at the framing, it looks like this happened months ago, if not years ago. But technically, it is possible that this flashback from the past happened only a few days ago, because they both had to get to Renwall, after which they had to wait for Yiva to get there so that the fight could start. But again, it is possible that this also happened in the past, and so the present fight is happening in the future, and so what kind of a dragon it is, we still don't know. Anyway, Shyvana then gets determined, and she starts turning into a dragon. And that's where she starts putting on her draconic face. Honestly, I will have to say, the scaly face looks amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the things I do like about her rework. Giving her that, the dragon scaling going into her face is something they definitely needed to do, because the original one definitely looks like it's trying too hard to be a sexy woman and not a half dragon. You know what I mean?
And I kinda wish this is the face Riot gave her in the game. But shortly after that, she steps outside in her draconic form. And to the surprise of many, the soldiers of Renwall are not red. Even though that's what the Dragon Guard of Renwall always looked like. Well, this situation kinda makes sense. As far as we know, the Dragon Guard was formed after the battle with Yiva. And so, the Demacian soldiers kinda looking Demacian actually makes sense. But if it is not the Dragon Guard yet, then that would once again suggest that that is Yiva.
I still think it is.
But if that is Yiva, then why are the soldiers smiling? This would be the first time they would be fighting alongside a magical dragon. Don't tell me they would be excited and not terrified. Which once again doesn't make the situation any less confusing. But at least then we get our first and only fighting sequence that takes exactly 14 seconds. Here,
Yeah, it should have been a bigger fight.
Shyvana changes into her dragon form. They fight for a brief moment. And Jarvan starts supporting Shyvana with ballistas, once again suggesting that we are at Renwall. What's funny is that here you can see the ballistas fire, but then you don't see the bolts in the air. This discontinuity is kinda awkward. But thankfully, in the next scene, it is hard to see, but you can actually see the bolts in the neck of the other dragon. So the ballistas did fire. It is more likely that they wanted to hide the scene, because in that scenario it wouldn't really make sense. Jarvan is firing anti-dragon bolts at two dragons that are intertwined in a fight, while he is only trying to hit one of them. I don't know what you're trying, Jarvan, but that is not a safe strategy. And so the dragons fight
That is some epic belief in your soldier's ability to aim.
for a bit, and then
Those things are not easy to aim, I'm not gonna lie. I fired something very similar to it. Not easy.
they plummet down. After which, Shyvana says this.
Your fire ends in ash.
And this pretty much confirms that this was supposed to be Yiva, Shyvana's mother, the entire time. And if that is the case, what was the battle before? And in that cinematic specifically, how did she become best buddies with Quinn before Jarvan? It seems like there is a bit of a gap in Shyvana's story now. So while we don't really know what's happening there, we do know that Shyvana will need a bit of a bio update. Thankfully, none of these holes are hard to fill, we just need more context. Anyway, the dragon
Yeah, that's something Riot struggles with, is context.
is then defeated and Shyvana rises victorious, which is where we can see her full design. And
I
here,
just love her
gleaming
design.
in the light, you can actually see Jarvan's sigil on her chest, which was the point of this entire cinematic. It was supposed to show us Shyvana's design after all. It wasn't really supposed to progress any kind of a story, which is why all the lore around this might be confusing. But again, thankfully, assuming that this cinematic was about Shyvana and Jarvan killing Yiva, then most things fall into place. But we still should get something that explains the overall story, hence why a bio update would be really good. And
So this scene we're looking at right here, with these two, this is from the Salvation cinematic, and what they've been doing is giving us little bits here and there every so often, progressing the story. Where the first bit we got was about Yanara meeting Jarvan, and then the second one we got was about Garen dealing with the aftermath of fighting the Noxian soldiers. And there was two other little scenes in that trailer. Sona versus some darkness stuff, which is probably Nocturne, let's be honest. And then the Shyvana Quinn arc. So we're probably going to get here in the next couple of days, because the end of the season, or not season, the end of Act 1 is about to end here in a day or so. And that's usually when we'll be getting the next story arc. So we'll probably get either Shyvana or the Sona details. I'm going to imagine we're probably going to be getting Shyvana, because we're getting the new Shyvana, like the cinematic here. We got the Shyvana new game update, VCU. I think it's just a VCU. So we're probably going to be getting a visual comic with the continuation of what we saw in the Salvation cinematic. At least that's what I'm expecting.
the very least, we need something explaining the Quinn there. Because it's not like the two champions just met and they became buddies. It feels like there is a missing storyline about earning Quinn's trust. But then, if you
Yeah, Quinn is very slow to trust.
link all of this together and you start assuming that if this was Yiva, then the other dragon was also Yiva, then in the cinematic, Yiva started running away while she was supposed to be fighting Shyvana to the death. I mean, that's literally what her fury was about. After which, in the cinematic, Shyvana starts chasing her, but in the story, she was the one running away. I mean, she has to run away because she has to find Jarvan, but then Yiva needs to turn around and start chasing her because that's how she gets to Renwall. So do you understand why this is so confusing now? All of this can only really make sense if those two dragons are separate. I know they both are pale and blue and they both look like the Elder Dragon, but as long as they are separate, it's fine. The story makes sense that way. But if we get a story where these two dragons get linked, then we're in trouble, because the story continuity would be kinda all over the place. Not to mention, the sigil on Shyvana's chest has a different design in the cinematic, and that makes me mad.
Alright, there we go. That was Netcrit's take. Oh my gosh, I almost knocked over my monitor. Alright, so that was Netcrit's reaction to the cinematic. A little bit of storyline there. So, okay, here's my thoughts on this. I think they're separate dragons. Just straight up. They're just separate dragons. What probably ended up happening was Shyvana, being Shyvana, happened to be kind of just meandering around and came across this town under attack from a dragon. And that's where the cinematic happens. She fights the dragon to protect the people. Because Shyvana is a good-ish person. And then Quinn was probably in the area and saw Shyvana and joined in the battle. And they escaped and became allies. I wouldn't say friends, allies. Definitely not roommates. Although I know some people probably wouldn't have a problem with that if they were roommates. That being said, then Shyvana kind of goes off on her own and then eventually runs into Jarvan. Now, the other option is, this was a fight with, the Salvation one, was a fight with her mom that ended in a stalemate. Where she locks her in that giant petricite cave, basically. And then she runs away, meets Jarvan. Her mom gets out and goes, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you for locking me in that stupid thing." And then that rolls into that one. So, like, I mean, there's a couple of ways that this could 100% work out, and it makes sense. Well, we'll find out hopefully soon. I will let you know. So, anyway, I will see you, lovely foxes, in the next video.